Imagine this. The world was one decision away from nuclear annihilation. And the person who stopped it? You've probably never heard his name. Vasili Arkhipov. Not a president, not a general, not even someone in the history books most teachers crack open. But get ready for this, because it might shift your perspective. Did you know that in October 1962, one man aboard a Soviet submarine literally saved the planet? Let's set the scene. It's the height of the Cold War. The Cuban Missile Crisis is in full swing. The US and the Soviet Union are locked in a terrifying standoff. Nuclear weapons are on high alert. Tensions are so high, even birds probably felt it. Now, deep underwater near Cuba, a Soviet submarine called B-59 is being hunted by the US Navy. American ships are dropping depth charges, not to destroy it, but to force it to surface. Problem is, the crew inside doesn't know that. They think war has already started. Inside that sub, it's boiling hot. Literally. Temperatures are over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The crew's been underwater for days, cut off from communication. They're exhausted, stressed, and convinced that World War III has begun. The captain, Valentin Savitsky, decides it's time to fight back. He wants to launch a nuclear torpedo. Let that sink in. A nuclear torpedo. If he had, the US would have responded. And boom, global nuclear war. But here's the twist. Soviet protocol required 3 officers to agree before launching a nuclear weapon. The captain says yes, the political officer says yes. That leaves one man, Vasili Arkhipov. Now, Vasili wasn't just any officer. He was the flotilla commander, meaning he outranked the captain. And in that moment, he said no. He refused to authorize the launch. Instead, he convinced the others to surface the sub and wait for orders. That single decision, made in a sweltering metal tube under the ocean, may have saved hundreds of millions of lives. So, who was Vasili Arkhipov? Born in 1926 near Moscow, he'd already survived one nuclear scare. A year earlier, he was aboard the Soviet submarine K-19 when its reactor malfunctioned. Radiation leaked. Crew members died. Vasili stayed calm, helped contain the disaster, and lived to tell the tale. That experience? It probably shaped how he handled the crisis in 1962. But here's what's wild. Almost no one knew what happened on B-59 until decades later. The story was classified. It wasn't until 2002 that the world learned how close we came to disaster and how one man stopped it. Think about this. How many movies have you seen about nuclear war? How many books, games, or documentaries? And yet Vasili Arkhipov isn't a household name. Why? Maybe because he didn't seek fame. He didn't give interviews. He didn't write memoirs. He just did the right thing. And that's the deeper lesson. Sometimes history hinges not on loud speeches or dramatic battles, but on quiet courage. On someone saying no when everyone else says yes. On someone keeping their cool when the world is burning. So, next time you hear about the Cuban Missile Crisis, remember Vasili, the man who saved the world, not with weapons, but with wisdom. And here's a question to leave you with. How many other moments in history were shaped by people we've never heard of? What other stories are waiting to be uncovered? Because if one man in a submarine can change the course of history, maybe you can too.